Listen, if you've ever felt like your own family set you up to fail, this one's gonna hit different. Drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? I want to see how far this story travels. The violinist didn't stop playing because the music ended. He stopped because the room shifted. You ever feel that? Like the air itself just tightens? That's exactly what happened when my father raised his glass. Not high, just enough. That subtle rich people signal that says, "Everyone shut up, I'm about to speak." Over 100 people fell silent. Perfectly dressed strangers, fake smiles, champagne glasses mid-air. And me? I was standing near the edge of the garden in work clothes that still smelled like server room dust and burnt coffee. Yeah, I came straight from work. Because even after everything, I still thought showing up mattered. That's on me. My daughter, my father said. Not my name. Never my name. Just my daughter. Like I was an asset, a line item, a liability report. He motioned for me to step forward. So I did. Because for 27 years, that's what I'd been trained to do. Obey first, understand later. He handed me something, not a gift, too heavy for that. Leather, cold, expensive. The kind of thing people use when they want to make a moment feel official. I opened it, and just like that, my whole world flipped. An invoice. Clean, precise, ruthless. $312,480. Every cent itemized. Food, housing, education, emotional investment. Yeah, they really wrote that. Emotional investment. I almost laughed. Almost. "Consider this," he said, voice echoing across the garden. "Our final accounting of what you've cost us." No anger, no yelling. That's the thing about people like him. They don't need to raise their voice. Their cruelty comes polished, controlled, calculated. I didn't look at him. Not yet. I looked at the crowd. People I grew up around. People who watched me as a kid. People who knew my name once. Now, they were just watching. Like it was entertainment. Like I was the show. And then my mother stepped forward. No shock. No outrage. No, "What are you doing?" Nothing. She adjusted her bracelet like we were discussing weather. Then she passed the mic. Not back to my father. To my sister. Yeah, that's when I knew. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't emotional. This was planned, scripted, executed. My sister smiled. That perfect, curated smile she posts online. The one with soft lighting and fake vulnerability. She looked like a walking brand deal. Meanwhile, I looked like someone who actually works for a living. "The keys," she said. Simple, cold, public. She held out her hand, palm up, waiting. I felt every eye on me, every single one, watching to see what I'd do. Would I cry? Would I break? Would I beg? Nah, not tonight. I pulled the keys out of my pocket. That car? Nothing fancy. Just something reliable. Something I paid for. Or at least, I thought I did. I placed them in her hand. No drama, no speech. Just silence. She closed her fingers around them and leaned into the mic. Finally, we can give things to people who actually deserve them. A few people laughed. Yeah, they actually laughed. And then, because apparently humiliation wasn't enough, my father brought out the final act. A man stepped forward. My boss. Or ex-boss, I guess. He couldn't even look at me. That told me everything. "We've decided," he said, voice shaking, "to terminate your employment effective immediately." Right there, in front of everyone. No HR, no meeting, no warning. Just gone. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't about punishment. This was strategy. They weren't trying to hurt me. They were trying to corner me. Strip me down to nothing. No job, no car, massive debt. So I'd have no choice but to crawl back. Dependence. That's what they wanted. Control. I stood there for a second. Just one. Letting it all settle. Letting the weight of it press down. And then something weird happened. I didn't feel sad. I felt clear. Like someone finally turned the lights on in a room I didn't even realize I was trapped in. I looked at my father, straight in the eyes, for the first time in years, not as a daughter, not as someone seeking approval, but as someone done. I closed the portfolio, put it in my bag, turned around, and walked out. No speech, no tears, no scene, just footsteps, crunching gravel, echoing louder than anything anyone said that night. 3 miles. That's how far I walked. And somewhere between mile 1 and mile 3, I stopped being their daughter and started becoming something they never expected. A problem. When I got home, I didn't cry, didn't call anyone, didn't scroll social media. I opened my laptop. See, here's the part they forgot. I don't deal in emotions. I deal in systems. And every system, no matter how powerful, has vulnerabilities. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a second. Then I cracked my knuckles and got to work. Because if they wanted to turn my life into an audit, then I was about to audit theirs. And trust me, they weren't ready for what I'd find. The first thing I did was nothing. Yeah, nothing. No angry texts, no calls, no emotional posts. Just silence. You know what silence does to people like them? It freaks them out. Because control needs reaction. And I wasn't giving them one. My phone kept buzzing on the table, nonstop, like it had something to prove. I didn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, I opened my terminal. Black screen, green cursor blinking. Clean. Honest. No fake smiles, no manipulation, just data. And data? Data doesn't lie. People do. I started with something simple. Ownership. That car they took from me? Yeah, turns out it was never theirs. I pulled DMV records, cross-referenced transaction logs, followed the purchase trail. And there it was, buried under layers of financial gymnastics. The payment didn't come from my father, not his business account, not his personal funds. It came from a trust with my name on it. I leaned back in my chair slowly, heart steady, mind sharp. So that's how they played it. They used my money to gift me something, kept ownership under their name, and then took it back like I owed them. That wasn't control, that was theft with paperwork. I saved the file, labeled it clean, no emotions, just facts. Then I went deeper, because people like my father, they don't just run one game, they run systems, and systems leave patterns. I accessed their business records next, the investment accounts, the ones they bragged about at dinners, the ones that made them look like financial geniuses. I followed the money, incoming transfers, outgoing wires, account hops. And then I saw it. A loop. Money going in from family members, sitting briefly, then disappearing into something else. I zoomed in, tracked one transaction, then another, then 10. Same destination, every time. An LLC. Funny name. Too clean. Too empty. I opened it. And that's when I stopped breathing for a second. Because it wasn't a business. It was a lifestyle funnel. Luxury purchases, designer payments, private trips, influencer contracts, all routed through that shell. And guess whose name was tied to it?
Yeah. Of course it was. The perfect one. The investment. The golden child. Turns out she wasn't just spending money, she was signing off on it. Digitally. Repeatedly. Knowingly. That's the part people don't talk about. The golden child, they're not always innocent. Sometimes they're just better-dressed accomplices. I stared at the screen, not shocked, not angry, just done. Because now, this wasn't personal. This was criminal. And the thing about me, I don't do revenge. I do exposure. I organized everything. Clean folders, clear timelines. No drama, just undeniable proof. Bank logs, signatures, transfer chains, authorization records. Every piece fit, like a puzzle they never thought anyone would solve. Then, I created one file. Simple name. No theatrics, just full audit. I attached it to an email. Recipients? My parents. My sister. And the people funding it all without knowing. My aunt. My uncle. The ones who trusted them. No message, no explanation, no warning. Just the file. And send. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Best sleep I'd had in years. Because for once, I wasn't carrying the weight. They were. Morning hit different. When I turned my phone back on, chaos. Calls, texts, voicemails, emails, panic, pure panic. My mother first, voice shaking, trying to sound composed. "You need to fix this," she said. Not, "What is this?" Not, "Is this true?" Just, "Fix it." I didn't respond. Then my father. Anger. Threats. Legal language thrown around like confetti. Still didn't respond. Then my sister. Crying. Blaming. Gaslighting. "You ruined everything." I actually smiled at that, because for the first time, I hadn't ruined anything. I had just stopped covering it up. And then came the one call that mattered. My uncle. His voice, quiet. Heavy. Not angry, relieved. He said, "I knew something was off. I just didn't want to believe it." Yeah, that's how it always goes. Truth isn't hard to see.
It's just hard to accept." He added, "I'm handling it." And just like that, the dominoes started falling fast. Legal teams got involved. Accounts got frozen. Investigations opened. That perfect image cracked overnight. And suddenly, they weren't the ones in control anymore. They were exposed. That night, there was a knock at my door. Heavy. Desperate. I already knew who it was. I didn't open it all the way. Just enough. Chain still locked. My father stood there, but not the version from the garden. This one, smaller, shaken. "Please," he said. Not commanding, not controlling, begging. "You don't understand what you've done." I tilted my head slightly. "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said, and I slid a piece of paper through the gap. Not an invoice, something better. Federal consequences. Numbers. Real ones. His hands trembled when he looked at it. "You wanted to teach me about cost," I said calmly. So I returned the lesson. Silence. Then I closed the door, locked it. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I owed them anything. Not money, not loyalty, not even explanation. Just distance and peace. But trust me, this wasn't the end, because what happened next, that's where everything truly collapsed. For the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. No calls, no manipulation, no fake concern wrapped in control. Just quiet. But that quiet didn't last long, because when people like my parents lose control, they don't disappear, they spiral. And this time, they couldn't hide it. Within a week, everything started unraveling. Not slowly, not privately, publicly. Accounts were frozen first. You could almost hear the panic through the financial system. Cards declining, transfers blocked, access denied. For people who built their identity on wealth, that's not inconvenience, that's identity collapse. Then came the legal notices, formal, cold, unavoidable. My uncle didn't hesitate. Neither did my aunt. They didn't call for explanations. They didn't ask for apologies. They went straight to lawyers. Because when trust breaks at that level, you don't repair it, you document it. And suddenly, the story changed. My parents weren't respected anymore. They were being investigated. Invitations stopped, phone calls dried up. That perfect social circle they curated for decades, gone. People don't stand next to scandal, they step away from it, quietly, strategically. And my sister? Yeah, she felt it the hardest, because her entire life was built on perception. Brand deals disappeared, followers dropped, comments turned from praise to questions, then accusations. Because once the truth cracks the surface, people start digging, and what they found wasn't pretty. The luxury trips, the shopping sprees, the influencer lifestyle, funded, not earned. And just like that, the golden child lost her shine. I didn't watch it happen, not actively. I wasn't scrolling, I wasn't checking updates every hour. I'd already seen enough. Because revenge wasn't the point. Freedom was. 2 weeks later, I got a message. Not from my parents, not from my sister, from my uncle. "It's done." That's all it said. Simple, final, heavy. The estate, gone. liquidated to cover damages. The accounts drained, repaid. The reputation irreversible. And the people who once stood at the top of every room now avoided eye contact. That's the thing about truth. It doesn't scream, it just stands there until everything fake collapses around it. A few days after that, I got one last attempt. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. But something told me to answer. It was my mother. Her voice? Different. Not polished, not controlled. Just tired. "We can fix this," she said quietly. I didn't respond right away, because I'd heard that line before, my whole life. "We can fix this." Translation, come back under control. "No," I said, finally.
One word. And I meant it. Not angry, not emotional, just clear. "You already showed me what I was worth to you," I added. Silence. Then she tried one last time. "We're still your family." I looked out the window. Sunlight hitting buildings, people walking like normal, life moving forward. And I realized something. Family isn't blood, it's behavior. "You were supposed to act like it," I said. Then I hung up. And that was the end. No dramatic goodbye, no closure speech, just a boundary, solid, unmovable. Weeks passed, and something strange happened. Life got peaceful. Not exciting, not dramatic, just steady. I still worked the same job, actually, a better position now. Less noise, more respect. I bought my own car, put it fully in my name, no shared ownership, no strings. And my apartment? Still small, still simple, but it was mine. Every inch of it. No hidden conditions, no emotional invoices, just space. And for the first time in my life, I understood something real. You don't owe people access to you just because they share your last name. You don't owe loyalty to people who treat you like a transaction. And you definitely don't owe repayment for a love that was never unconditional. One night, I sat at my desk again. Same laptop, same screen. I opened the folder, the audit. All the evidence, all the truth, all the history. I stared at it for a moment, 26 years reduced to files and data. Then I right-clicked. Delete. No hesitation, because I didn't need proof anymore. I had peace. And peace, that's something they could never invoice. So yeah, that was the night my family tried to erase me, and accidentally set me free. If you made it this far, drop a comment. Tell me, what would you have done? And don't forget to subscribe, because stories like this, they're not just stories, they're warnings.